What's up, goobers? Welcome back to the channel. This is the last compilation that will be released today. This is the Gun Lord Breakdown compilation composing of the gang gun breakdowns and then some other little miscellaneous pieces. This is the third compilation released today, so check those out if you haven't already. But for now, let's get into breaking down the guns. Breaking down Micah's guns. Sorry for the back-to-back Raton videos, but don't worry, the Lobo gang breakdown will be coming out shortly. Micah Bell had two unique double-action revolvers. They have red grips and a unique engraving. They also say "Vengeance is hereby mine" on the barrel. In terms of damage, it is slightly higher than a normal double-action. The damage output is comparable to a cattleman revolver. The player can only have one of Micah's two, which is unfortunate. Since Micah is a soulless demon, the revolvers are the only thing that Micah cares about. When Arthur breaks him out of jail, Micah risks going into some random house and getting his guns back. He even has them on Guarma when everyone else is missing their usual guns. Micah is also very skilled with his revolvers. During the road shootout, he gets 3 consecutive headshots. In American Venom, Micah is so fast with these revolvers that he can negate John's Deadeye. So yeah, these double actions are Micah's prized possessions. He also has a unique knife. It looks like a dagger meant more for shanking, which, you know, fits the old rat. I don't think he uses it in any mission, but let me know down below what you all think about Micah's arsenal. With that out of the way, let's get right into breaking down Dutch's weapons. Dutchy Vanderlyn had 2 unique Schofield revolvers. They have pearl grips and gold engravings. The body is interesting as it is a split between a silver plating and a black plating. These guns actually represent a lot about Dutch's character. The gold shows Dutch's fanciness and the romanticization of the outlaw lifestyle. Dutch sees himself as the modern day Robin Hood, or at least 1899 modern day. His path of destruction is seen as freedom, hence Dutch's extravagant guns and, outfit. The split plating also represents Dutch's morality. The silver / good and the black / evil. In the end, Dutch embraces evil, is represented by his all black fits. Dutch's knife is also pretty dope yet simplistic. The fancy handle is a nice contrast to the normal knife that working man Arthur has. Again, I might be wrong on this, but the only time Dutch has a knife is in his promotional art, but you all will probably correct me anyway, so now that we're done with that, let's get into it. I covered Dutch's weapons, but I missed out on his semi-auto pistol. This is important because it represents Dutch's hypocrisy. In Red Dead 1, he claims to be fighting change. Just more damning evidence that Dutch never really meant what he said, and he was always a hip. Breaking down Javier's weapons. Mr. School has a unique double-action revolver that is really fancy. It's fancier than Dutch's, which is saying something. This swirly pattern really complements the black grip. With the drip Javier puts on, it's clear that the gun is meant to be a status symbol. Javier rocks this shit, and man, does he rock it. While he or his gun don't show up often, there is still importance to it. In the mission Red Dead Redemption, Javier points his gun up to show that while loyal to Dutch, he is neutral towards John and Arthur. Unfortunately, by the time of Red Dead 1, Javier reverts back to Speedy Gonzalez and loses his drip, guns, his charisma. He's speedy, bro. I keep saying this. But anyway, Javier's knife is also pretty nice. While basic, it does look pretty mean. I like this, I don't know what to call it, kind of speckling, I guess. That makes the knife look used yet sharp. I was going to review Charles's hat today, but I forgot to write a script. My bad. Let's get into down Charles's weapon. Back to back Charlie Love, let's get it. Charles's main gun is a sawed-off double-barreled shotgun with a nice black and white varnish. It also has blackened steel components. This is actually a newer design, as before the wood had a babinga varnish, whatever. This shotgun is unique as it is the only dedicated sidearm that isn't a revolver. Pretty dope. Charles always uses this shotgun alongside his bow. There's nothing unique about this bow, just a simple 2-piece. The melee weapons Charles owns are simple blades, a basic machete, and an interesting knife. This knife has the same speckling design I like, and also is missing a hand guard. I think that's what it's called, but it's just missing the kind of guard around the blade and the hand. That's Charles's arsenal covered. The first few shorts in this short suite. I'm going to try to cover as many requests as possible this week, but for now, let's just get into it.
Breaking down Hosea's weapons. Sorry about the text-to-speech. I can't record my voice right now. Hosea has dual cattleman revolvers, both designed with pearl grips and steel frame. He also has a unique cavalry draw, which fits Hosea's profession. Cavalry draw allows the user to draw easier while sitting down, the position where Hosea would most likely be NSE scams and cons others. Hosea's primary is a blued steel semi-auto shotgun. Brown frame and varnish make this gun look pretty nice. He doesn't use it often, probably because he doesn't get into gunfights very often. In terms of melee weaponry, Hosea has a simple hunting knife with a lightly colored grip, Since Hosea is rarely seen in a fight, most of these weapons are rarely seen, but they are still cool nevertheless. With all that out of the way, let's get
Breaking
into
down Bill's weapons. Billy's guns have also been heavily requested, so here we go. Bill's main gun is a custom bolt-action rifle, though it looks similar to a base bolt-action. Bill's just has a browner tint to the metal. This rifle is what Bill mainly uses, as he would feel more comfortable with a rifle, being a veteran and all. That doesn't mean he is missing a sidearm though, as he owns a custom Schofield. The brown grip alongside the brown metal makes his revolver look kinda ugly, so it's not my favorite. Due to the condition it's in, we can assume Bill rarely uses a Schofield due to his preference for long arms. Another weapon I'm sure he never uses is his knife, which looks a bit different than the standard hunting knife. It looks more like a buck knife though, just more used with a wider blade. That's Bill's unique weapons, though he does use others, those are just base rifles. Now with Bill done, I can get into breaking down John's weapons. Since I covered John's hat a while back, the only thing left for Johnny Boyo are his guns. John owns a blackened steel cattleman sporting bone grips. This revolver looks identical to Hosea's revolvers, though the reason why is never said. We can just assume John liked the look and copied it. The official description says it's seen better days, and judging by the fact we never see the gun in Red Dead 1, this cattleman probably broke sometime between Red Dead 2 and Red Dead 1. John's main gun is a unique Lancaster repeater. The iron finish and rosewood varnish make it look like the Winchester repeater from Red Dead 1. John's knife is basically a hunting knife, though it's just a bit smaller. Unlike other characters, we do actually see him use a knife. In the mission paying a social call, John will annihilate this goober by stabbing him thousands of times.
Jesus.
Since the player can choose John's guns once he's playable, these are the only ones that actually have some lore. That's everything, so let's get into breaking down Lenny's weapons. Owned 2 unique weapons, so let's get to them. The Cattleman revolver Lenny owns has a dark theme with blackened steel and an ebony grip. Lenny used this gun more often than his primary, which makes sense as his primary is a custom rolling block rifle. The rifle and scope have a blue steel finish, but the rolling block part has a brown steel finish. The wood is also a maple varnish. A little fun fact is that the metal on the rifle matches Hosea's shotgun. Just another connection between the two gents. I don't remember if or when Lenny ever used this rifle, but let me know in the comments down below. I also remember Lenny using a bolt action rifle, though I just don't exactly remember when. I do know that he has one though. Lenny's knife is pretty much a buck knife, just with a way thicker blade. With that done, the only thing left to do is cover his hat, so stay tuned as we get into breaking down Sadie's weapons. Mrs. Adler owns a few dope guns, so let's cover them. Her primary is a custom carbine repeater. The repeater sports a black steel finish and a dark walnut varnish. There's also leather wraps around the handguard and stock. She uses her primary a lot, actually more than other characters. Her dual cattlemans are also nice while being simple. They have an iron finish and a light varnish. I say dual because she has 2 identical revolvers and 2 holsters on her hips, while Arthur's walking around with this goofy ass thing on. I do remember her running around dual wielding, so yeah, she's crazy with the caddies. Her knife is also important as this thing is mean as hell. It looks like a cross between a buck knife and the base hunting knife. She uses this beast to gut Tommy in the mission Mrs. Sadie Adler Widow. Overall, her loadout is pretty solid. I just wish the player could also have dual holsters. Like, come on, Rockstar! Anyway, let's get into down Sean's weapons. Mr. One Pump Chump doesn't have any weapons, but the ones he has are nice, so let's go. The primaries Sean uses aren't customized in any way, so I'm not going to go over them. The custom Cattleman Sean sports has a blue steel barrel, cylinder, and hammer, with the rest being nickel plated. The grip seems to be either a base grip or an iron wood grip. Overall, a pretty nice gun that Sean is really bad at using. Sean's knife, which by the way looks scary as hell, look at that blade, has some lore to it. Day 1848 is engraved on the handles. The same year a bunch of Irish revolutions happened, though that means that Sean's knife is a family heirloom. The knife itself is a buck knife, just with a pretty small handle from the look of it. With all of Sean's weapons done, we can now get on down Uncle's weapons. Old Unc has a few nice weapons, so let's go over them. The custom double-barreled shotgun Uncle owns is simple but not that bad. The black barrel and nickel frame really complement each other, and the wood varnish seems to be babinga. The Schofield Uncle owns, Schofield because somebody was disrespecting my pronunciation, has a nice dual color design with a bronze frame and a brown barrel. The most interesting part about his loadout is his knife. Uncle is out here with this Yar Mateys ass sword. This shit is so goofy. But man, do I want this blade. That's it for Lumbago Man, as he never really fights or gets into confrontations, but when needed, he will fight. Breaking down Kieran's weapons. This was requested a while ago, but I forgot who originally asked, sorry about that. Kierster doesn't own much, so let's get on with it. His custom cattleman looks very similar to Sean's, like way too similar. Maybe Kieran sniped Sean so you could have his gun and his shorty. Anyway, the barrel and cylinder are a blued steel, the rest has an iron finish. The grip is a bone grip, adding to the lighter tones of the gun. Now this is off script, but the gun could be a reference to Chris Larrabee from the Magnificent Seven, but I haven't found much evidence on that, so it could just be an Easter egg or a coincidence. Kieran's knife is a clip point knife, not a buck knife. I've been informed that buck is the brand while clip point is the official name. It's pretty worn, but it still has a nice edge. That's Kieran's loadout, as he rarely appears, let alone in a gunfight. I appreciate the recent support a lot, so for now let's get into down Otis Miller's revolver. I don't know what series this video belongs to, so I'll just throw it in both gun breakdowns and gunslinger rankings. This gold and ivory gun that manages to outdrip Duchess Schofield's belonged to legendary gunslinger Otis Miller. Miller is essentially the train robber according to Red Dead. He committed the first train robbery in 1866 alongside his gang. Eventually Miller was betrayed by his own men and was shot to death. I'm guessing before he died, or maybe after, his gun was hidden and was made ready for a treasure hunt. The revolver can be found in Rattlesnake Hollow, New Austin, alongside some questionable pictures. The gun itself is fully gold with an ivory grip. Engravings are made with blackened metal, so it really pops out. Otis Miller is even signed here. Interestingly, the gun seems to originally have been a snub-nosed, though this isn't the case in-game. Personally, I think the gun has a bit too much gold, but it's still a beautiful sidearm. That's the end of that, so let's get into breaking down Duke's weapons. Requested a few times, but I'm not good at names, has kept me in check. I use 5 main firearms. My dual Schofields are the centerpieces. These things are just gorgeous. These death revolvers are a part of the Luna lore. Death's right-hand man is meant to be used exclusively to kill. It can never be used to injure or disable anything like that. Peacekeeper is the opposite in both looks and functionality. This revolver can only be used to injure, disable, it can never kill. Breaking any of these codes results in immense penalty. Anyway, to build the black one, use pearl grips, black and steel, and gold for the hammer and trigger. Use the Baroque engraving, silver inlay metal to make it pop against the black steel. And don't forget the scorpion engraving. To make the Peacekeeper, use nickel metal with a gold trigger and hammer. Use the same Baroque engraving, replacing the original inlay metal with black and steel. The grip is ebony wood and the carving is a deer. My primaries are more simple. I use an Evans repeater with a black and steel frame, gold lever and hammer, and a silver trigger. The gold varnish is Babinga, because Babinga's beautiful. My bolt action rifle is a bit different, rocking an ebony varnish and a wolf engraving. The steel is blue this time to make it pop against the varnish. My prized possession is my pump shoddy. This is my babe. Babinga varnish and blue steel are a nice backdrop to the gold parts. The eagle engraving is also beautiful. These guns performed well against Cornwall's men, and also these guns are just straight up beautiful. I will do a more in-depth review of my personal weapons once I reach them in my gun reviews, but for now that was my loadout, so feel free to ask about anything else. As of right now though, let's get into breaking down Lowry's revolver. Reviewing the elephant rifle reminded me, so let's get to it. This gun is a Navy revolver variant owned by the infamous Edmund Lowry Jr. Backstory on this goofball: he's a serial killer active in 1899 and 1907. Depends on if Arthur or John complete the side mission, but this deranged maniac owned a revolver that he is never seen with. Unlocking it is quite the tedious process. First you have to own GTA 5, and online you have to complete the mini quest Los Santos Slasher. Don't ask me for a tutorial as I haven't played GTA Online in years. Anyway, after killing 50 NPCs with Lowry's revolver, the gun is available in RDO. Going to Lucky's cabin, it's found in a lockbox. The gun itself has the same stats as a fully upgraded Navy revolver, meaning that reviewing it would be redundant. Since there's only one available, you technically can't dual wield these. You can't even make a normal Navy look similar, as Lowry's has unique engravings. The metal and wood are basic, just simple iron and ironwood. The bloodstains and scratches are interesting details. The top of the gun says "You're next" in more of that blood red. The grip has more text, this time saying EL63432. EL refers to Edmund Lowry, and the numbers I'm not quite sure. I asked the lore expert Kid Colt and he said it is a combination to his layer. Quite the unique little handgun here, and makes a fine addition to the collection. Let me know any other weapons you guys want me to break down, but for now we can get into breaking down the high roller revolver. Figured I'd break this down just so I can complete the whole set, but the high roller revolver is yet another double action. Excuse me while I go throw up. The gun can be acquired at any fence during chapter 4. Being a high roller, this revolver just oozes fancy. The light colors and black engravings mesh together nicely. The compendium states this gun is deadly when dual wielded, but only one can be bought. This is most likely leftover content from the cult origins of this gun. I briefly mentioned it in one of my gunslinger shorts, but I'll go over it again. Frank Heck was a cut gunslinger that originally wielded 2 high rollers. Being a big gambler, this made sense. By dueling him, you would have been able to get the revolver. It's unknown if you could get both, or if it'd be something like Micah's revolvers. Two exist, but only one can be taken. Since this is a double ASEAN, the damage is alright. It does shoot fast though. I don't know if there's any other weapons to break down, so let me know, but for now we can get into breaking down Algernon's revolver. I figured it's time for a trip back to my roots and do what I do best. Breaking down. This revolver is the reward for the excruciatingly slow side mission, duchesses, and other animals. After picking enough flowers, Algernon reveals his love interest married a postman. His normal, very sane reaction is to attempt to shoot himself. The player takes the gun for Algernon's safety. Though since the revolver is a double action, I'm sure Algernon would have been fine had he shot himself. The unique snub nose and grip give the gun an interesting look. Here it is compared to a normal double action. The grip has a very light wood texture, fitted with pearls from Tahiti. The gold engravings add to the very posh nature of the gun. Even though it acts like a regular double action, and I hate double actions, I can appreciate the look. Is it worth running around Le Gras avoiding alligators and meticulously picking flowers? I don't think so, but let me know what you all think down below. My next shorts will be the return of Duke Showcase, featuring outfits from The Real Brit Lad and Smokey Ghost. For now though, we can get into. There we go, we have finally finished the compilations for this Christmas day. Hope you enjoy them all, and remember, subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for even making this possible. Have a wonderful Christmas day. Again, stay safe. God bless.